Hello, my name is Marlita Hill, and I am the author of Dancers Assume the Position. I'm here with you today to share information about this wonderful resource. This book is a tremendous investment in your growth as a dance minister and is a wonderful resource for you learning how ministry transpires through your dance. About 1993, I saw a dance ministry for the first time. The dance ministry was the Hush Company under the direction of Stacy and LaQuinn Meadows. I saw them, and I had never seen dance ministry before. And when they were announced over the PA system, I really wasn't interested in seeing them. After some nudging, I went and sat in the chair, and when they began to minister, it was like everybody on that mountain disappeared, and it was just me, them, and God. And I had never experienced the power of God like that, especially through the dance. I had seen dance before, and I had never seen dance do anything like that to anybody that was watching it. A mentor of mine at the time, she saw God dealing with me as I watched them and asked me if I wanted to meet them, and I said yes, absolutely. So I got to meet them, I went to pray with them, and I began to minister with them. As I started to travel the country and minister, I saw that the same thing that had happened to me, that same experience, that same power of God that I had experienced, other people were experiencing. And I asked God, what is this? Now at the time, I was young and really wasn't hearing God for myself that much. I was just beginning to learn how to, and I thought it would be a very simple answer. Well, what ended up happening was it was some 3 years over which he taught me principally about how ministry transpires through the dance and how God uses the dance to minister to his people. And this book is a recording of that teaching over that 3-year period. I believe in my heart of hearts that dance is a vehicle that God is ready and willing to use to minister to his people. I further believe that we've only seen the beginning of how God desires to do that, to use the dance to reach his people. My desire for my own ministry through dance and for ministry through dance at large is for us to experience the fulfillment of God's intention to manifest his power, his presence, his healing through the dance. But there is a position that we must assume. There's a part that we must play to ready ourselves to experience the fulfillment of his intention. And so that's what this book is about, is to provide information on the position that we must assume and how we assume that position so that we can experience the fulfillment of God's intention to use the dance as a vehicle to reach his people and minister to them. Dancers Assume the Position is an examination of that part we play, of that position that we must assume. Specifically, it speaks to the what, the why, and the impact of the dancer's ministry. What is the dancer's ministry? Why do we minister through the dance? To what end? And what is the impact when we minister through the dance? What is the impact on the person sitting in front of us in the audience? What is the impact to the body of Christ at large? What is our impact to the purpose of God, on the purpose of God that we are taking part in? This book is short and sweet. It's 99 pages, packed to the brim with information. It contains 4 chapters, and it'll bless your life and your ministry. The first chapter in the book is called Ministry Demystified. This chapter speaks to the what of the dancer's ministry. A very powerful revelation that God taught me early on is that the dance is not the ministry and the ministry is not the dance. That in fact, the dance is a vehicle that is used to carry out the ministry. So if the dance is not the ministry, what is it that makes what we do through dance ministry? If we are going to experience the cooperation of God with his word through our dance, this is a powerful understanding that we must have. The second chapter is called Place and Function. This chapter speaks to the why of the dancer's ministry. Ephesians 4:16 says, "From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work." What is our part as dance ministers? To fully understand our part, we first have to understand what God is up to in his body. What is it that we are collectively working towards? If you and I, as dance ministers, are going to be effective contributors to the fulfillment of God's intention through and with his body, then we have to understand what it is, again, number one, that he's up to, that we are coming and joining him to be a part of, and two, how he wants us to play our part in helping him. The third chapter of the book is called The Effectiveness of Dance Ministry. This chapter looks at the impact of the dancer's ministry. In addition to understanding what you're working towards and the part that you play in accomplishing that objective, it's important to understand how your part functions. How does ministry transpire through the dance? And what happens when we minister through the dance? What's going on in the hearts of the people? What's going on in the purpose of God? What's going on through the dance? And so that's what this chapter is about, is really understanding what the dancer's ministry is and how it works. The last chapter is called Entering Ministry. And God directed me to make this chapter last because he wanted me to explain what was involved in dance ministry before I talked about how you get into dance ministry. 1 Corinthians 12:5-6 says that there are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in everyone it is the same God at work. Though we are all generally called to minister through the dance, what it looks like and how we go about fulfilling that calling, fulfilling our ministry through the dance, is different and is individual. You and I need to seek the Spirit of God about how he would have us fulfill our call to ministry on our individual path. And so this chapter actually speaks to how we are to do that and the imperativeness of us seeking God before we ever go forth in ministry, about us seeking God about how he wants us to go about doing that along our individual paths. This book is a wonderful, wonderful resource for personal study, for ministry development. It's also a wonderful resource to give to pastors and worship leaders. If you are trying to start a dance ministry at your church and you want them to know what dance ministry is about, it is also a very powerful resource as required reading for your dance ministry members to unite your ministry and purpose. I highly encourage you to get this book. The revelation that God gave me about what my place, what my function was as a dance minister forever changed my life. And I want to share that information with you. You can find this book at dancinghill.com or on amazon.com. Just look for either Marlita Hill or Dancers Assume the Position. God bless, and I look forward to speaking with you and growing in purpose with you. God bless.